Now, what about this idea that from Vokey and Reed that people they could get the physical characteristics of the stimulus, but from these embedded messages, hidden messages, they weren't able to pick out the semantics of the backwards speech or anything like that? Well, Tony Marcel did a study that relies upon the Stroop interference effect that you might have heard of. That it's a sort of colour priming experiment here. In one condition, or in both conditions rather, you had to name a colour patch that appeared on the computer. Okay? So you'd see a big blob of yellow and you'd have to say yellow. That colour patch was primed or interfered with by a very briefly presented word that either appeared at the same time as the colour patch or just before it, so simultaneous or preceding. And that word is could be another colour. It could be the same colour. It could be an irrelevant word. And he really was very good at doing the subliminal thing. He actually did a pre-test to work out for each participant what was their critical threshold of presentation time at which they could report a word or not. So he found each individual's personal level of subliminal presentation and then showed them either for a long period where they could see the word supraliminally or very briefly titrated to that person's own perceptual abilities. And the question is, how quickly can they name that colour patch that then appears? And if there's no word shown, then, so you just get the mask that's coming up, then there's not much difference between the supraliminal and subliminal here. It's just I think it's some asterisk actually, so it's not really a word. And if it's a neutral word that's not relevant to the colour, there's no difference. So an irrelevant word, no difference to a set of symbols. If it's the same colour word, you get a slight advantage. So simultaneously you've got the colour patch and the same colour as a word, so the word yellow. If, however, it's a different colour word, so you see a yellow patch and the word blue is there for 400 milliseconds, or for a subliminal period, you are slowed down. And here, we do get, still, it's working, you're getting this interference, and you're getting the slight speeding, even if the word is subliminal, below your subjective threshold. And you get the same pattern of effects happening, amplified, if the word comes first. So if you get the word blue, or yellow, or chair, or a set of nonsense syllables, very briefly before the colour patch, so you get to process it first, then again, a neutral word has no benefit over no word. The same colour word is speeding for both supra and subliminal. But now you see a bigger difference here. If it's supraliminal, you do get an interference effect. If it's subliminal, well, it's going up, but not as much. So we are still getting some subliminal effects. Subliminal effects now that are tied to the meaning of the word, which is what Vokey and Reed found wasn't happening in sort of the embedded advertising style. So when you do it in the constraints of a psychological experiment, the effects upon behaviour of subliminal stimuli are there at a meaning level.